What golden nugget of information do you have to share? Story 1. The concept of 3 square meals a day is a diet designed for people working physical labor in the early 1900s. Quality of diet and sticking to daily calorie limits is the only part that really matters. Otherwise, it really doesn't matter what time you eat, although the 3 square meals model is indeed advantageous for day-long maintenance of energy levels. Basically, it's better to just eat when you're hungry than force yourself to eat when you should, so long as you're getting the proper nutrients. Story 2. When choking on food and can't get help, you can get into a push-up position and then just drop down. The ground hitting your stomach and chest will cause what you're choking on to dislodge. Story 3. One of the most important moments in Western history was when a Greek army of about 7,000 managed to drive off 100,000 Persian soldiers in the Battle of Salamis. The Persian general, King Xerxes, was sent a message from one of the Greek generals claiming that he had defected and that the entire Athenian population would be evacuating the next morning, and that this would be a perfect opportunity to destroy the Greek fleet as the ships would be full of civilians. Xerxes trusted this information and sent his much larger fleet into the territory, only to find the full brunt of the Grecian military in perfect position to destroy the entire Persian fleet. Xerxes was forced to flee back to Persia, and they never attempted an invasion again. Had Persia won this battle, Greek culture would have never been able to flourish the way it did during the classical period, and Western civilization as a whole would probably look very different today. Story 4. For a garment to be labeled, made in USA, the process only needs to be started and finished in America. In the case of a certain ladies' underwear line, the material is cut in USA, shipped overseas for assembly, then shipped back to America where a seamstress sews a Made in USA tag on the item. Story 5. People often underestimate how big a billion actually is. An easy way to conceptualize it is to think of it in terms of seconds. 1 million seconds ago was 12 days ago. 1 billion seconds ago was 1990. Story 6. Learning is about the process, not the product. Exercise is about the process, not the product. Growing is about the process, not the product. It's great to have goals of being the smartest dude around, or the most jacked dude around, or the richest dude around. But fixating on these far-off goals will not help you. Set aside some time to do some exercise or study or working a skill or going to work, and give yourself little rewards at the end of each session to encourage your actions. Don't think of it as something you have to do, but something you want to do. And that's true. You want to be jacked? Well, then you want to work out. And the more you start viewing it this way, the more it becomes true. Motivate the process and the product will come on its own. Story 7. In your car, if when you press the brakes you hear a loud squealing sound, it's time to get your brake pads replaced. After that, if when you press the brakes and you hear a lower growling, scraping sound, not only do you need new brake pads, you'll need new brake rotors as well. The cost of this repair is much greater than just replacing your brake pads. Another tip is that if you look at your car tires, you'll see channels that run around the tire. In some of these channels are little thin fins of rubber that cut across them. If that fin of rubber is parallel with the top of the channel, it's time to replace your tires. Story 8. The human anus can stretch up to 7 inches before taking damage. A raccoon can squeeze into holes as tight as 4 inches. Meaning, you can take almost 2 full raccoons up your ass. Story 9. Babies are a lot easier to deal with if you can simply empathize with what they are feeling. If your brain was processing literally thousands of pieces of information and growing exponentially, you didn't have complete control over your reflexes and limbs, giants were speaking to you in an unknown language, and your caregivers seemed stressed out about you, you'd probably need a hug and gentleness too. Story 10. One of the best thing you could have done is planted a tree 30 years ago. The next best thing you can do is planting it today. It's never too late. Story 11. In ancient Hawaiian culture, women were not allowed to eat meat. The practical reason for this is because there were not a lot of animals on the islands to feed everyone, some wild dogs or boar. But it worked its way into the religious kapu system, which was held to very strictly. If a woman was caught eating meat, she had to be killed. If it was a young girl, they would just pluck out an eye. Also, when the king died, the people were expected to show sadness at his death by knocking out some teeth. And if someone didn't knock some of their own teeth, others would do it for them. Story 12. The Stegosaurus dinosaur was older to the Tyrannosaurus rex than the T-Rex is to us. It's a rather well-known fact, but some people tend to think that dinosaurs all live together in one big chunk of time. Story 13. Most of us fit and active people don't enjoy exercise. We enjoy the feeling when it's done. So if you hate running, hate cycling, hate lifting weights, don't worry, most of us do too. So don't wait for something to click, just get out there and do it and get it done. You'll enjoy how you feel later in the day and you'll be proud of the results long term. Story 14. Write down the unsettled memories that upset you. It will be a difficult and overwhelming process, but it will be helpful in the long term. Unresolved memories may very well be due to genuine problems, but because the memories aren't usually confronted, they hover like an indistinct cloud of causes and possibilities, which makes the problems seem way more daunting than they are. It's this hazy mess that gets shredded when you subject your memories to rigorous thinking, which is what happens when you write. You may still be left with a problem, but it would be a problem with a boundary, and bounded problems don't bother us as much as unbounded ones. Think of a monster that can be 100 monsters of 100 kinds at the same time versus a single, well-defined monster. Story 15. Never pour water into any acid because it will splash out acid at 600 plus kelvins or 300 degrees Celsius. If you have to mix water and acid, always put water first then acid. This is because the reaction of acid dissolution is exothermic, meaning it will create a big quantity of heat, thus the splashing. But if you put a drop of acid in water, the reaction won't heat enough to splash. Story 16. Very few people at a gym are gonna make fun of you or even notice you with more than a few passing looks. And the ones that do are crap birds anyway and not worth you sacrificing your health. Go to the gym and use it. Even an hour, 2 to 3 times a week is better than nothing, and you'll begin noticing small changes sooner than you think. Story 17. If you see flashes or floaters in your vision, go and get a dilated eye exam as soon as you can. Chances are it won't be anything too serious, but you're better off getting it checked as soon as possible just in case. If it is something serious, you'll want it treated sooner rather than later. Story 18. Diamonds are inherently worthless. A single diamond company, the De Beers Diamond Company, has a monopoly in the majority, if not all, of the world's diamond mines. They tighten the supply to up the price. They are also responsible for an ad campaign in 1938 which is responsible for engagement rings. Needless to say, it was the single most successful ad campaign of all time. They even started the whole "you need to spend 2 months' salary on a ring" idea. Story 19. Heat the back of a spoon gently and press it on a mosquito bite for a few seconds to greatly reduce itching. The heat breaks up the protein in the venom. You only need to warm it up under warm water. Whilst a 3rd-degree burn with a red-hot spoon does, technically would work, I wouldn't advise it. Story 20. If you see a job you really want but aren't quite qualified, apply anyway. Don't tell yourself no, make them tell you no, you might be pleasantly surprised. Both my son and daughter followed this advice and got a job that turned into a career. Story 21. I know the whole exercise can fix your depression thing is made fun of a lot on this site, but it really can help so much. I'm not saying it's going to 100% cure you, or that it will work for everyone, but please just try. I have been making an effort to go outside and exercise every day, and I have never been happier. Don't sit around and think that exercise won't help if you haven't even tried it yet. And even if it doesn't help you, at least you're getting the physical benefits of exercise, even if all you're doing is walking a couple laps around your yard. Story 22. Peanuts are not nuts, they are legumes and they grow out of the ground like beans. Nuts and drupes typically grow on trees and/or are the seeds of fruits. You can be allergic to tree nuts and not be to peanuts and vice versa. Story 23. People's conscious decisions are usually nothing of the sort, they are usually made subconsciously. Then, all the conscious mind normally does is build narratives about the previously made decisions. Those narratives consciously seem to arise concurrently with the decisions, but really they arise only afterward. Research on split-brain patients has proven all of this. Simply put, your brain makes choices without you knowing, then tricks you into thinking the choices were yours by allowing you to invent gratifying reasons why you supposedly chose them. Story 24. Do not allow yourself to be mentally abused by anyone, especially from your own family. People can overlook how damaging it can be to your well-being. I don't care what they make you think you did to deserve it, you don't, full stop. Story 25. If you want to bury a body, make sure there is plant life nearby. When the body decomposes, plants will start growing above it. If there is no other plant life, it's a giveaway that something is there. Also, when you bury, have it head down because a human skull is way more obvious and easily recognizable compared to few bones in the feet that can be picked by critters or dismissed. Story 26. Eating disorders affects at least 30 million people in the US. The numbers are probably a lot higher than known because a lot of people don't think they have one, as they think you have to be underweight to have an ED, which is not true. There even is an eating disorder diagnosis called EDNOS, or eating disorder not otherwise specified, if you don't 100% fall into anorexia or bulimia or so on. Take care, people. If you've gotten this far and enjoying the content, please leave a comment of your own story. We'd love to make a video of them in the future. Story 27. Applying super glue or cyanoacrylate to cotton or wool will result in a rapid chemical reaction that releases enough heat to cause minor burns. If enough cyanoacrylate is added to the cotton or wool, the fabric will catch on fire, making this a great trick to keep in mind in survival situations. Story 28. Don't buy French bulldogs. They are a fad breed that was sick to begin with, and so many people are being scammed by backyard breeders and puppy farms. They are depressingly broken. If you do buy one, even from an official breeder, be prepared for allergies, ocular bleeding from eye pressure, hip dysplasia, cheery eye, trachea collapse, twisted spine and dreadful breathing problems. They are expensive. Too many teen girls buy them and can't afford the allergy meds and food and just leave them to suffer. One visited the clinic last week, collapsed and died because of an extra long walk in the sunshine. Don't do it. Let this breed disappear and buy a dog with a nose, please. Story 29. The tensing of leg muscles will deflate an unwanted erection. Story 30. When you buy your first home, put together a simple little toolkit to do easy repairs around the house. It will save you a lot of money down the road, and you can usually find a decent video on how to make the repair online. Story 31. I worked at Domino's Pizza for a while. You should never order their specialty pizzas. Just order their mix and match deal, which is 2 medium pizzas with 2 toppings. You can put all 4 toppings on one pizza, which is about what you get on a specialty, and you essentially get a free cheese pizza. Story 32. Seasonal allergies are almost entirely man-made ailments. When planting landscaping trees and bushes in the 50s and 60s, people didn't want to use female trees as they didn't want fruit to fall on streets and on people's cars, so they opted for almost entirely male trees, thus drastically increasing the pollen output. Story 33. If you don't have a toilet plunger and you've clogged the toilet up, pour in a bit of dish soap and some hot water, the hotter the better. Let it stand for 15 minutes and flush. Learned this when immediately upon arriving at our hotel, my 8-year-old clogged up our toilet and I Googled. Found this gem, realized I'd packed a tiny travel bottle of dish soap, warmed water up in the microwave, and lo and behold, it worked. I still use it sometimes at home when I don't want to be grossed out by plunging. Yes, my child has a tendency to clog toilets. So there you go. Story 34. Each one of the Armado-class battleship's main gun turrets weighed over 3,000 tons, which is heavier than the average US destroyer. If you were on a destroyer in the US Navy during World War II, you ran the risk of having to fight a ship whose primary weapons alone displaced more weight than your entire vessel. Story 35. The grey rock treatment is an incredibly useful method of dealing with narcissists and toxic people. If such a person is going at you verbally or behaviorally, screaming or posturing or trying to fight, become like a grey rock in a river. No reaction, don't answer, no movement, just sit calmly and let the stream of crazy flow past you. Bonus points if you can stare blankly. When people thrive on causing a reaction, they absolutely cannot compute when they get no reaction. If you're in physical danger, obviously react to keep yourself safe, but don't argue, explain or defend verbally. You'll never change a narcissist's mind, it's just walking on a treadmill. This is not foolproof, so be mindful to keep yourself safe first and foremost. Story 36. X% of Y is the same as Y% of X. So if you're struggling to find 26% of 50, maybe 50% of 26, 13 is much easier to do quickly. Story 37. I work front desk at a hotel. I've seen this before, so I hope it's new to someone. Don't use sites like Expedia. If you book directly with the hotel, you can always call to make changes. If you need to cancel, you can avoid the 24-hour window fee by changing your reservation to a few days later, then call back the next day to cancel. Third-party booking sites are not easy to change info. We cannot change the rate if something needs to be fixed, and you are looked down upon and get whatever basic rooms are available. Not by me personally, but everyone around me. Story 38. Airline ops guy here. If you check in a bag at an airport with an hour or less before departure, it has a 50/50th shot of making it on the plane. Just like the TSA line, bag security can back up too. I regularly see 30+ minute in screening statuses on bags. Then, it may be pulled for a hand screening and search. This is random and TSA doesn't care when the flight leaves. So now, we are at about 25 minutes to departure and your bag has only just now entered the sort system. It will take another 5 to 10 minutes to sort out to the person who loads carts with bags. Here, the problem is that there may be 7 to 10 other flights coming off of the same conveyor belt. They have to see your bags tag out of maybe 50 other bags, so let's assume another 5 minutes. Your flight's bag cart was delivered plainside at an hour before departure. It is now 15 minutes to departure. The bag room has seen your bag and has it on the back of a tug racing to the plane. 7 minutes before departure, the baggage compartments are closed and total weights are being submitted. Your bag has missed the airplane. Story 39. Horses have a massive blind spot on the front and back of their body. If you are ever around to tame a horse, keep a hand on their body while walking around them. This lets it know where you are at all times and decreases chances of kicking out of shock or fear. This also prevents them from kicking you with as much force. You need to stay very close to them for the full benefit. This is similar with goats, as they instinctively fight things coming head-on and should be approached from the sides. Also, ears are the gateway to a horse's feelings. Pinned back ears indicates an anxious or angered horse. Pinned straight up indicates curiosity and focus. Story 40. If your older parents or grandparents are suddenly acting strange, get them checked for a UTI. In older people, UTIs can cause a psychotic or delusional episode. Story 41. The main reason we stop doing something we love is because we forget our love of doing it for enjoyment's sake and replace it with the desire to be good at it. Story 42. The first president of Zimbabwe was President Banana. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to Thread Talk for more content like this. Also, don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out. Have a dope day and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers!